I had thought that trying to dispose of the body was something that had ended with legalization. But in 1993, I was proven wrong because the abortion that Angela thought was safe and legal turned out not to be after all. This is Christina with the Sisyphean Journal, and this is January 19th. So, like the deaths of Jacqueline Smith and Barbara Lofrumento prior to legalization, the story of 27-year-old Angela involves an illegal abortion and an attempt to dispose of the body. Now, Angela went to, I'm going to botch the pronunciation, I'm sorry, Spanish speakers, Clínica Femenina de la Comunidad, with two of her four children. 12-year-old Maria and Maria's little brother. Some sources say he was 2 years old, some say he was 3 years old, but either way, he was a toddler. Now, Angela's family insist that she wasn't planning on an abortion. She was hoping that the baby would be a girl so that Maria would have a sister. They say that Alicia Hanna called Angela, telling her to come to the clinic so that she could consult with her about the pregnancy. And if we look at some of the things that the officials said later, this actually seems quite within the realm of possibility that she went there and they convinced her to have the abortion. So Angela was an illegal alien, so she could not get medical assistance for an abortion, but an abortion at a freestanding clinic was something that she could manage. So she wound up paying $280 of the anticipated $300 fee up front, and she went back in the back, leaving the children in the waiting room. Well, after a while, a clinic staffer came out, told the children that their mother had left, and suggested to Maria that she drive her brother home. Maria's like, I'm 12 years old, I can't drive. Then later, a staffer took the children to lunch at a nearby fast food joint, and when they came back, their mother's car was gone. The kids continued to wait. They didn't know what to do, and finally, Maria called their uncle, who came to pick them up. So Angela's family, of course, was really worried. They started calling around, searching the neighborhood, calling hospitals, trying to figure out where she was. And Maria's aunt, who I believe was Angela's sister, finally took the girl and went looking. Let's go find the clinic. When they got to the clinic, what they found was absolutely appalling. Alicia Hanna, the clinic owner, and one of her former employees were dragging Angela's stiffened body out of the clinic and trying to stuff it into the trunk of her own car. Maria went running over. The women were like, she's dead. And they told 3 different stories of how Angela had died. One of which was, she had left the clinic without the children, and then some guy just drove the car up and ran off on foot, and we weren't trying to put her into the car. We were trying to take her out of the car so we could provide aid. Although how somebody with rigor mortis and stiff as a board could have possibly been in the car is a little mysterious. Maria's aunt put the body in the bed of her pickup truck, and she and Maria flagged down a police officer who led them to a hospital where they found out, predictably, because Angela was already stiff, that she'd been dead for several hours. And eventually they found out what had happened. It seems that when Alicia Hanna originally opened the clinic, she did have a doctor on staff, but he quit. And she decided that instead of hiring another one, she'd just be the doctor herself and do the abortions. She evidently did this with an injection of a drug that the authorities were never able to identify. What had happened was that she had taken Angela back in the back, given her some Valium, given her a drug. Angela started foaming at the mouth, vomiting and having seizures, and then she stopped breathing. Hanna did not want to call an ambulance because she knew she was going to get in a lot of trouble. Even if there had been a doctor at the clinic, there wouldn't have been much they'd have been able to do because there was not very much emergency equipment and the oxygen bottle was empty. Instead of calling 911, Hanna called her husband and asked him to bring by a full bottle of oxygen for them. She did attempt CPR, but probably didn't know what she was doing. And the prosecution eventually said that basically what Alicia Hanna would do was bring these women into the clinic who were illegal immigrants and talk them into abortions and convince them that she was a doctor. And just her luck ran out with Angela, or rather, Angela's luck ran out. So during the sentencing hearing, a representative of the family read letters from Angela's mother and daughter. And poor Maria, who was 14 at the time of the trial, just wept on the witness stand. Hannah's defense attorney said, well, she tried to save her life. That's not what you do when you're murdering somebody. But let's see, she was convicted of second-degree murder. And that's Alicia Hanna in her trial. So she was found guilty of second-degree murder and some associated charges. She tried to appeal. It went nowhere. But again, just because an abortion clinic is openly operating doesn't mean that it's any safer than, say, Rosie Jimenez, who went to an unlicensed midwife in El Paso, McAllen, and wound up dying. And that got blamed on the fact that the Hyde Amendment wouldn't provide her with any more free abortions, and not on the fact that the abortion rights activists were, women will be forced to use unsafe abortions instead of, don't worry, Planned Parenthood, you can do your abortion on a sliding scale. I'm not sure what excuse they have for what Alicia Hanna was doing and why they don't tell women that these clinics are not necessarily safe. But I've said it before, safe and legal. Legal is non-negotiable. Safe is entirely up to the person who runs the clinic.